Yo, my people, what are you saying? God damn, let me not even fake it until I make it, yeah? I am dead, hungover, dragged upon, ruined, despaired, disgusted. I am finished. Let me introduce the guests because it's going to be a long one, all right? I need them to keep me up. Lewis, Craig, my boys, how are you doing, man? God damn.
I hear your words as well. Post-match hangover, it is exactly that mood today, man. I'm not even feeling that hyped up. I'll be real, the energy levels are not there. But let's talk about this show because, I mean, I said 5 days ago, right? We win our next 2 games, a guaranteed first or second. We didn't win one of them. We didn't win a single one of them.
All this is your fault. That's what you're saying.
People are saying it's my fault. Oh, ever since you done those AFTV videos, we haven't won a game since. Yeah. Right.
And what about you, Craig? How are you feeling, my guy? How's the post-match thoughts?
I mean, is there any way you can be positive, really? I mean, it's just... Do you know what makes it worse? It's right. It's the Everton game. You look at it and think, oh, my God, we played so badly. Let's just kick on from that. Let's learn from it. And they kind of showed a load of signs that we were going to learn from it. And then just like that, we go and drop 3 points when it was potentially in our hands against Wolves. And we very simply fuck it for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? It's so annoying. It just makes it so much worse.
Do you know what it is, yeah? And I have to keep it 100, man. Last night, yeah, I haven't felt that late winner vibe from an opposition team in a hot minute. I ain't felt that kind of cruelty in months. Almost since probably not this season. I can't remember this season when I felt that blow. And it stuck with me. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me see if I get over this. And then as the night just progresses, obviously I do my review. Everybody has to get their review up real quick. I do mine. Go to the shop, speak to boss man. He didn't have any answers for me either. Had to get alcohol. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even sleep last night, boys. Did you guys get sleep? I didn't sleep. That's the first time a Chelsea game has affected my sleep. It's been nuts.
Oh, join the club, man. I mean, Chelsea, I didn't go to sleep until at least I know when the sun was up when I went to sleep. I know that at least. But the difference with me is it's probably normal now at this point. My pattern's always in and around somewhere being a mess. But that's Chelsea for you, isn't it?
Brother, Craig, how are you feeling?
So I slept quite well. I've needed to catch up on it, to be honest. But yeah, it was.
Abs is on to me, yeah. Abs is on to me. He's saying 15 minutes late. I said to Abs, listen, bro, Lewis texted group chat, yeah. Brother, I passed out.
I don't know you're waiting for me to wake up the first time as well.
Let me keep it a buck. I did the byline this morning because last night was sad hours, okay? So I was me and Alex way too drunk. I was too drunk. I was like, you know what? Cool. Let's not do this. I didn't sleep. Did the byline this morning. Then we organised it. Me, Craig, Lewis. What time if we get this done? 4:00. Cool. I was like, cool. I got an hour. I sit in my bed. Next thing I know, pitch black, dead. Boom. I wake up. Lewis is like, yo, what's going on? I'm like, yo, shit.
That's happened to me so many times, honestly. Can't even feel bad for that.
Oh, I know.
Late. Do you know what? Yeah, lateness is greatness. People start spamming your questions, what you want to hear about. Let's get into the thick of things because obviously we have to start with what happened, the absolute madness. Now, I feel like Everton, it's not our stomping ground, so we kind of we put Goodison Park tax, same as St James's Park tax. We was never going to get 2 wins out of 2, but Wolves is different. I feel like they've been playing 4-3-3 the whole season as well, so we didn't have to adapt to them. But we have no wingers, obviously fit. Pulisic managed to get the start. Was you guys happy with the starting lineup? Just to go off, obviously, I'll go, across the screen just to make it easier, so we don't have to keep, going who goes first. But Lewis, in terms of the starting lineup, was that okay for you, to your satisfaction? Because myself personally, I was okay with it, but I was worried. I was always worried.
I was worried, but as a lineup, I didn't really have too much complaints of it. I didn't really mind resting one of the midfielders. That's fine. I thought the first half was perfect. It was the second half that was the biggest issue, in my opinion, because we changed up the things that was working. We had Pulisic on the left, who was doing a madness. I'm not going to say too much about Werner on the right, but it was 10 times better than we've seen from Werner on the left. Why did we switch it up? That's where the problem was for me, the game management. We started the game just fine. If anything was an issue with the lineup, in my opinion, is that we didn't have a natural winger on the bench, and I get that we have injuries, but we also have Tino Anjorin. I don't care if he's not inexperienced. He is a natural winger. which means he could have been effective in this game. Didn't Wolves give someone their debut in the 45th minute of the game? I forgot what his name was, but it was some random guy. He came on and I heard it was his debut. Oh, we couldn't do the exact same thing.
Yeah. Craig, talk to me, man, because we're messing about here.
The annoying thing for me, obviously the injuries we do have to take into consideration. You do. But everything that happened against Everton, you could see that the same thing was going to happen again from the word go. I personally would like to have got another winger, and even if it was just a lesser winger in the summer, it didn't happen. It's like, okay, let's go for it, whatever. Now we've been hit by these problems. You have to start thinking about, do you maybe change the shape a little bit? Do you have the personnel in to potentially change the shape? Giroud up top, I like him. I think there's certain games that are for him, certain games that aren't. But when you played against 3 centre halves and Giroud was the only one up top who was going to be able to win the header, like, he did it for the goal, fair enough. But again, he was a bit lucky with that because the keeper let it go over the line. I mean, on a different day, keeper parries it out or whatever. But you want to be able to play different ways. And if you need to change it, you can go, right, we'll take out that person and bring in them, or that person will drop back. And I felt like when we put out the starting 11, it was very much, we are playing this way, and it's only going to be this way. Maybe what I'd like to have seen is, could you potentially have played Kovacic instead of Kai Havertz or Mount, both of which I thought did nothing yesterday, really. If you could have played Kovacic, been a bit more almost respectful towards Wolves, who are a decent side. They've been in a bit of a bad form, but they are still a good side. I just think that you've been a lot more comfortable and a lot more kind of flowing. And if you did need to go, oh my God, we've gone behind, or we need to change it up, you could have potentially gone to a 3 at the back kind of system or something along those lines, and then bring people inside. But after a while, it was just like, well, how are we going to change this? Do you know what I mean? It's not really going anywhere. So it was a bit annoying. I understand why they played that particular 11, but I don't know. Maybe I wanted a little bit more flexibility to be able to adapt to the situation, I think.
Personally, I'm just thinking, how on earth, because our wingers are injury prone, and I think even going into the season, we could have and foreseen that. Now, I'm not going to start saying we should have signed a winger, because this fan base, and me included, we projected and did propaganda for Havertz and Werner being versatile. Do you know what I mean? So now we can't really, a lot of us, we can't really turn around and say, yo, they're playing out of position. We told rival fans they were versatile. We told rival fans Havertz can play 4 positions, and I still feel like he can. I've seen his Bayer Leverkusen stats in all 4 positions. He's been fairly productive. Right wing, cam, striker, and 8. Werner. We were telling people he's versatile. We don't need a 4th winger. We've got great depth, the best depth in the league. Now, when it comes to the depth time, everybody's shook. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you know what I mean? We can't have our cake and eat it. My thing is that we should have known, because personally, I wanted to see a diamond. I didn't want us to play 3 at the back, because I just feel like our defense then becomes, it's a massive change. And suddenly now you're playing with a different shape defensively, and our defense has been good. But I would have changed the top half of the pitch. I spoke about it in my preview personally. I thought, that season under Carlo, where we had Malouda at the top of the diamond, and we had Drogba and Anelka, I wanted to see Kai and Timo and Tammy, that kind of shape. And I know people say we don't have a lot of training, the fixtures are congested, but should Frank not see that the wingers are injured, and that maybe against Krasnodar, that free hit, try something different? Because you need a backup shape. We don't want to be... Sarri was criticised for being stubborn, or is it just me? Do you know what I mean? Same formation every single week, doing it too much, not having a plan B. Do you not have to have a plan B as a top manager? What do you guys think about that?
I think that's definitely something that we missed out in terms of a plan B. And I get what you're saying as well, that we do have to stick by what we said with Werner and Havertz being versatile. And to a long part, I still agree with a lot of what I said. Kai Havertz is definitely versatile. And I do think he's going to grow into this season, and the second half of the season is going to be 10 times stronger than the first half, because statistically, that's the type of player he is. He always starts slow. He always comes into his own to the second half of the season. So I'm still very patient with Kai Havertz. Timo Werner, I echo the same words with him, but I also, if I could go back, I'd switch it a little bit, because personally, I prefer Timo Werner on the right compared to the left. I think when you play him on the left, he's just completely predictable. All he really does is speed up and down the left-hand side, but he doesn't really have much else to do when he gets to the final third, because everyone knows what he's going to do. And at the very least, if you have him on the right-hand side, you have him on his strong foot. if he burns through a player, he at least has room to deliver a cross in. So there's an end point with him at the very least on the right-hand side. So I'd still say he's versatile, but I think you need to switch up a little bit.
What's your thoughts on Timo Werner's position, Craig? Because it's come up for question. Personally, I don't think there's a massive difference between him playing striker and wing, but how do you feel about it?
I think one of the main things for me, I think he needs to play down the middle. I think if you look at where he's kind of been less effective, it was in the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, which is when he's been playing out on the left-hand side. I think he needs to play down the middle, personal preference, but obviously at the moment that's not exactly, that easy to do. I'm like you. I would have quite liked to see a diamond or a different sort of shape, something that's a little bit more in our favour. But I remember stupidly last year. Kind of a few things that kind of sprung to my mind was do you remember Emerson randomly at points last season started playing left wing just to kind of see out games and just relax and whatever. I remember a few years ago, quite a few years ago now, you'll have to get me right in the year maybe, lads, but I think Man United played against Arsenal at Old Trafford and beat them and had something like 7 centre-halves starting. They were they had some mad injury crisis.
John O'Shea in midfield and whatnot. It was nuts.
Yeah. You look at that kind of thing and think, could Emerson have very easily played out of position? Could he have played as the left winger, right winger? Maybe Reece James could have potentially done it. We have enough depth in those wide areas to be able to leave Timo Werner actually in the middle and be able to let him do his thing. It's not exactly as we've got some absolute bum at right back for our second choice. It's Reece James behind him, Cesar Azpilicueta, club captain. One of the best servants we've had in more recent years. If you put him in, it's going to impact the game a little bit, but you're still going to have that same shape. It's obviously not going to be perfect, but what's really not perfect is getting your new, £50 million striker and his confidence just starting to go down and down and down and down and down by playing him out of position. I maybe would have liked to have seen a bit more, pardon the language, but a bit more of a fuck it approach after a while.
Yeah.
And I think it got to a point and it was like, well, we were never going to do that. Everything has to be controlled. Everything has to be in our favour. And I think sometimes you actually get these really nice results where if you do just throw something out there that could potentially work in your favour, it goes really well. And I think that's, we were saying about the plan B and whatever. I think every now and again you have to be able to have a plan B, and I don't think it's something that Chelsea are 100% certain on what that plan B is. And sometimes you can have a plan C and a plan D when all things go against you, but you can't have those unless you've got a plan B, and we didn't have that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we do need to have a little bit of an emphasis when we need a goal to kind of like pull a finger out of our ass kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit too laxy daisy, do you know what I mean? Going through emotions, like as if we ain't got points on the line here, we need to win. I'm going to go through some of the super chats here. Thanks so much, guys, for the contributions. We need another winger saying this since August. Again, it's a tough one because when all of the players are fit, we're in a freak situation, but then again, you can maybe say it's not a freak situation seen as, considering who's actually injured. But when all of the wingers when everyone's fit, Hudson-Odoi doesn't even get on the bench. Do you know what I mean? So that how do you, it's all good. It's all good saying we need another winger. How do you advertise that? How do you talk to them face to face across the table and convince another player to join this football club when everyone's fit? You're not on the bench, and then when one injury, you're still not on the bench, and then after that, then you get on the bench. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a difficult one to convince. Another eye test merchant here. I don't like how all our attack is to spam crosses. We're going to be getting into that. We're going to be getting to that next. And then Ken Barry, do we work a 2-striker formation as a plan B before West Ham? Perfect segue, really, the 2 comments. For me, we've got, 6 days? We've got training now. There's not really any excuses there, boys. We've actually got now, finally, for the first time in ages, we've actually got a bit of time to work on the secondary formation. I don't think it's going to be the first time or the last time this season here where we actually have these issues at wing position. Surely he should be coming up with a secondary formation. And on the spamming crosses, I've seen someone put on Twitter an average formation, like an average heat map or average position. It was funny. I don't think it was real. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it was literally like Chilwell, Mount, and Pulisic in the top left-hand corner, Giroud in the middle by himself, Reece James, Kovacic, Werner, top right corner, and then like Kante by himself, and then Zuma and Thiago Silva. I was cracking up laughing because it's actually facts. What do you think of the spam crossing method?
Yeah, I mean, we could cuss Arteta all we want, but that is exactly what we did. In fact, not even just this game, the last 2 games. I didn't really here's the thing. First half, I thought we had a plan. I thought things were working out well. We were dominating the left-hand side. We were spamming crosses, and to a point, it was working. Like, we had 2 good chances that we really could have put away, but it was a bit unlucky. But other than that, it was working, and we got our goal off another cross as well. My thing with the entire game, what?
Was it working?
A second half was where we fell apart. Up until the first goal,
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with it. It was working in the first half. The best chance we had was coming from a cross, but that came from a corner rather than anything else. We actually didn't have any clear-cut chance. I don't think we created anything in the first half, and it was all in our favour. But we didn't exactly stun us. You know, like there's nothing that made us look, oh, Chelsea are the better team in this game. We just had more possession. That's not effectiveness. That's just willy-nilly crosses in the box.
To be honest,
probably killing that as well. I'm struggling. I'm grasping at straws. I can't lie. I'll be honest.
One stat that I saw that I thought was a little bit unfair was about Ben Chilwell. Something like that he gave the ball away 30 times yesterday or something.
Yes, half of it were crosses, wasn't it? And they still counted as dispossession.
Exactly, and I said it in my review. Against Everton, they had 4 centre-halves on the pitch playing across the back 4, you know, because of their injury problems. You know, they had 4 centre-halves, and we had Olivier Giroud trying to attack the ball. That was it. It was 1 against 4, because Werner was never going to do it at the back post. Yesterday, they had Willy Bolly, who was basically the same as Yerry Mina, and then they had Conor Cody, and I can't honestly remember the life me, the other centre-half. But either way, they had 3-on-1 against Giroud. And then Giroud come off, and Tammy came on. And it was that only the same way of we have to whip balls in the box. That's how we're going to score goals. And I'd tell you one thing that we really didn't do, and it comes from midfield, and that's really where I'd like to see Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, and even Kovacic. I don't even mind Kovacic doing. No one shot from distance. We had Reece James had 2, and he put them way over the bar.
Yeah,
we didn't have. I don't think we had a shot from outside the box.
This is what I got to get into this. This team's lack of imagination and variety in terms of scoring goals. Like that whole game, for me, I completely agree with you. It's the imagination, the way of creating and fashioning out chances was poor. Like I felt like with Giroud on the pitch, he's in form, but this team then they just was like, right, we're just going to just spam crosses. Like they said, we're just going to whip the ball in. Literally, it was just get the ball out to Reece James, get the ball out to Chilwell, and just cross. There was nothing going through the middle, as we've seen in the fake but probably very real average position that someone created there on Twitter. This team is incapable of shooting from long range. They're incapable of fashioning together even a string of passes in that game. And for me, do you know what really pissed me off the most was that when Wolves scored the equaliser, the intensity never changed. Like we didn't go up to another gear. We didn't change the way the game was going. We didn't go, right, we're going to come back now. We're going to go again. If anything, it was Wolves. And then really that whole second half, Wolves were the better team. We didn't deserve to come out there with a point, to be honest. I'm not even, it was kind of like justice deserved that we actually conceded in the last minute because that was really how the game was going. Wolves were by far the more like creative, potent team, I'd say, the more threatening team.
I think they were smarter. I think that was, I look at the 2 games I look at this game and the game against Tottenham. Because the game against Spurs, I thought we were a lot smarter in the way we managed that game. When we were trying to get that second goal, we didn't overcommit. We put bodies forward, we didn't put too many bodies forward. Yeah. This Wolves game, though, I don't know if it was complacency, I don't know if it was overconfidence, but as soon as the first goal went in, we started overcommitting too many bodies. If you look back at that goal in the 95th minute, I think there was, 2 players back? Why were we chasing the second goal like that? I get we wanted the win. I get we're the ones that dropped the lead. And I get the 3 points are just as vital to us. It's even more vital after the loss in the Everton game. That still doesn't mean you play stupid. We played so dumb after that first goal. We overcommitted bodies. And that is exactly the sort of way that Wolves wants us to play. And we played exactly into their hands. And that's the most annoying part for me.
It reminded me of West Ham away last season where we conceded in the last minute and we were going up the pitch.
I hated that.
Do you remember?
That was so shit.
We were going up the pitch to try and get the winner, and we left ourselves exposed to no end. And they literally countered us, and it was, you know what happens next. This comment's really is an interesting one from Ken Barry. This is a good point, because I do want to see what you guys think about this. Giroud being only striker in form is a double-edged sword. I think what he means by that is not only the point that we made earlier, that when Giroud's on the pitch, this team are more likely to just go ahead and just spam crosses, and then they kind of just take, they almost shaft the responsibility away from actually creating a variety of chances, because they're like, right, Giroud's on the pitch, let's just start throwing it into the box. But also, in the sense was this team playing better? Was Timo Werner playing better with Tammy up front? Because I feel like his ratio for goal contributions was higher. I feel like he was maybe more involved in the game. Spamming crosses definitely doesn't suit Timo's game. How do you feel, Craig, about this? Do you think, because a lot of people are saying even though Giroud's in form, they would take him out just to get the balance back in the team. I don't know.
I'd take out Giroud. I would. I think, he is a brilliant player, and his technical ability speaks for itself, and the fact that he gets goals. But realistically, from that game yesterday, obviously he scored the goal. But actually, that wasn't enough to win the game. Abraham, is he going to do enough to win the game? I don't think so. I think it's partly a double-edged sword, because I don't think that Giroud had as much of an impact as he would have liked to. And I think it was all when Giroud kind of comes into the game, the Sevilla game was a bit kind of shock factor. The game against Stade Rennais or Rennes, that was a shock factor. It was almost like, oh my God, Olivier Giroud's on the pitch. I completely forgot about it when he got up and scored the bullet header. Well, I think after a while now, it's very predictable. Oh, okay, Giroud's playing. Nice. We'll park a few people behind the ball then, and we just kind of sit here and we'll be all right. He's scoring goals. You know what I mean? He is scoring goals. So it is hard to say that it is, that you have to take him out of the squad. But for the greater good, I do think it could be the right thing to drop him out, just so we can get back to playing a more kind of regular style of football. Because I'm not necessarily only because we're trying to spam crosses in the box, but there is other areas where we are lacking because of Olivier Giroud being involved. It's very obvious that everything at some point has to go through him.
Yeah. Lewis, what about you? Because I kind of go the other way, and I kind of even, for me, after I seen Hudson-Odoi out of this squad after playing quite well, probably victim of circumstance, when Pulisic came back from injury, Hudson-Odoi was just kind of dashed out of the squad because we just had too many players. I'm looking at the likes of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, and I'm saying you guys maybe even need to sit on the bench next game, just for your own good, for the team's good, because from a merit standpoint, these guys don't deserve to start. For me, especially Timo Werner, who's had a really poor run now for quite some time. People will say, oh, he's not playing in his natural position. Again, I was told he was versatile. And even though he's not playing his natural position, I don't expect yes, the dribbling side of things, I don't expect him to be on point, but I don't expect him to be missing open goals. I don't expect his first touch to be appalling. There's certain fundamentals that you should have in your game. Kai, again, we was told he's versatile. Again, I have patience for both of them, but I feel like they're giving the ball away so cheaply that, if anything, I think it would be good just for them to see, right, okay, cool, let's take you out of the firing line, put you on the bench. I don't know if we have the squad right now to do so when we've got so many injuries, but I feel like it could be a good little kick up the backside maybe for the both of them. It could be a different way to spark them back into form.
It definitely would be, and if Hudson-Odoi or Ziyech is back in time for the West Ham game, which I'm not too sure about, I probably would be up for it, but I don't know. I feel like if anything's letting us down, it's the system, because there's a regular factor, and that is that we spam crosses. And I don't even think this has been just a regular thing that we've been seeing recently. And you lot remember the Manchester United 0-0 draw, and all we did was spam crosses in that game as well. And that game was about 2 months ago. So I do think it's a system thing. And with Tammy Abraham, with Olivier Giroud, you know what you're going to get with them. You know what their strengths are. You know what their disadvantages are, and you just have to work with it. Obviously, I'm going to prefer Timo Werner up front by himself, but I don't think the system allows it to be effective as well, because we can't spam crosses into Timo Werner because he's not an aerial threat. Yeah. The best you have is if you try and hit a low cross to try and find him in space. But even then, we ain't gonna find him as much as we expect him to. I genuinely think, if we want to get the best of Timo Werner up front, we probably need to change the entire system again. I don't know if we would go back to 4-2-3-1. There was other issues around the team, which is why we had to change it, or the defensive mistakes that we were making, the issues transitioning from defense to attack. But we do need another formation because fact is, I don't care how good we get in a 4-3-3. I do not think we're going to be getting Timo Werner to his full potential as long as we continue to play him on the wings. And if anything, that's probably just a bait opinion anyway, but I'm just saying it for the point of it. This formation, I've got no issues with it because it has worked, but the fact is it's also been exposed as well. And we're also being exposed for the fact that we just aren't showing up against the top 12 teams in the league. So to me, it is a system failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. Our number 8, I'm going to read out this chat here from Rodrigo. Our number 8 played too far from Kante, leaving him with no options, no penetration. Mount hugs the left wing. Kai does the same, leaving the space in the middle. I'm not going to disagree. I feel like, we've seen for that final goal. I know he was chasing the game, but also the fact that, this team heavily is disjointed as hell. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not fluid going from back to front. I feel like I look at the way that we progress with the ball. I don't feel like the chemistry is still not really there with this team. Again, we're not getting the strengths out of every individual. And I know that's crazy to say because I feel like, a couple of weeks ago, maybe we could have differed. But even in our form, I wouldn't say Timo Werner was getting the best out of him this season. Kai, these new guys, I wouldn't say we're getting the best out of them so far this season. I still think there's a long way to go. I can understand what the plan is in terms of, when Ziyech is, I think this team heavily relies on Ziyech. I'm starting to see that a lot now. Do you know what I mean? That little, bit of magic, that crossfield ball from right to left, that would suit Werner's runs. But I do kind of agree with you, Lewis. I've always said Werner's a hybrid. I don't think he's a natural winger or a natural lone striker. I think lone striker is going to be, he's going to be exposed somewhat in certain areas that he's lacking. His heading ability doesn't quite have, the link-up play is a little bit suspect as well. Low blocks, how does he come up against them if his first touch is not great in tight spaces? Really, it's about probably pushing him higher up the pitch, trying to cover up his weaknesses. You don't want him to get too involved in the build-up anymore and just really be the finishing touch. Basically, you get the ball to Werner, one touch, finish, bang. That's kind of what we're trying to aim for. But obviously, when he's playing left wing and having to dribble, it's a madness. But for me right now, I would have no qualms taking him out of the team because I feel like it's not a long-term thing. Of course, he's going to start games. I mean, it's Timo Werner we're talking about here, so it's a new signing. But I think take him out the firing line for a second and get some points on the board against West Ham. That's kind of how I'd look at it. Craig, what do you think about the whole structure of trying to get these kind of basically trying to jam pack these forwards into this team?
Well, I don't necessarily agree that we need a complete change of system, but one thing I will say is this system and the players revolve around pace. They revolve around speed, quickness, and the crossfield balls that you're saying about from Ziyech. He's not the quickest player in the world, but those quick crossfield passes and those passes in behind, that speeds the game up. And that's where Kai Havertz is kind of lacking for me. I think that he can be a little bit of I hate to say the word, but a lazy player at times. And I think, your team of Werner, it was against Newcastle, where he pretty much run the length of the pitch and then squared it to Tammy. He's got the ability to run with the ball, and he has to be given the opportunities to do that. And it was also the Leeds game where he run. I think it was him that run down the right wing, was it? Pretty sure it was him.
Yes.
For the final goal, yeah. Yeah, runs down the right wing. He uses a blistering pace. It was either him that scored it or whatever it was. He was involved in this. This game will be just went straight up the line, and it was just very direct. It was very bang. The problem with that is that it's a lot easier when you go ahead. But when you're behind, you can start to lack. So the one thing for me, I think Giroud slows the game down a bit, quite a bit actually. He works in certain areas, but I think it slows it down quite a lot. And then also on the flip side of it, I think Kai Havertz does. So if you're saying right now to me, do I want to drop Werner or Havertz? I'm picking Havertz, also because of the injury crisis. We've got a winger as well. I don't like Werner playing out like that. I can understand why it's happening. But in our midfield, it was one of our biggest strengths. Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante, Mount, Gilmour. We've got a lot of central midfielders. Let's revolve out Kai Havertz. Okay, maybe it's not the best time for him, but again, use that time, use that little moment to go, this is what happened. So, not necessarily saying against West Ham, but at some point, put him up in the sand and say, look at the game and look what happens. Look how quickly we want to move the ball and look what we can do. And I think he's one of he's got this real ability to pick the ball up and run. He just glides through the team. And you saw it a lot when he was at Leverkusen, but at the moment, he's not really doing it. And I think it was I can't remember what the game was, but he tried to run out of his own box and he gave away a glorious chance to them. I think it might have been a Southampton game where he basically cost us a goal by trying to dribble it out. But actually, it could have been a one-touch, pass it up the line and just move the ball a hell of a lot quicker, and it avoids those kind of situations. I'm not saying just on a weekly basis, but those kind of things, if you could just, quicken it up a little bit, and say, look, Kai, this is what we want to be playing. This is the style of what we want to play. This is what we've got to up your game to. I think, a really good player, which is what I think he is, and I just do think he needs a bit of time. A really good player will be able to see, oh shit, actually, I am slowing the game down a bit here. Let me quicken this up. I don't know how much tape and film and whatever they watch, but I would really like to see, and I'd really like to know how much depth they go into with the likes of Kai Havertz, for how quickly they want to play.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't call him a lazy player because I have seen him do off the ball work, but I would say that his intensity does need to improve on the ball. I think so, he's not yet mastered how to shield the ball and use his body to his advantage. He gets he can get dispossessed off the ball when he receives it too easily. I think his passing as well has been really poor. That's something in Kai's game that I know is way better than he's showing. He's got vision, he's got ability to pass the ball, but his passing has been lackluster. For me, even though he's been quite poor of late, out of him and Werner, I worry about Werner more because I still, like Lewis said, what position are we going to play this brother? Do you know what I mean? Because he's a hybrid, and I think going forward we might have some issues. Probably not as many issues as winger. I don't think it's possible to have as many issues with Werner up front as you have as Werner out wide. Werner out wide right now is contributing almost nothing, unless you have Tammy up front, where they seem to strike a partnership. I think Timo Werner then starts to play a little bit closer off of him, and they're both very mobile, so it's a little bit maybe more fluid. Off Giroud, it doesn't seem to be working right now. But long term, I'm trying to have patience, but Werner is worrying me a little bit because I feel like the striking position of old in Chelsea is a very ruthless one. Kai's got time. He's 21. He's playing up for grabs. And I feel like Kai's got too much variety and weaponry in his arsenal in terms of he's got too many different threats, heading ability, skill, passing range, drifting into different positions. I feel like he's got too many weapons at his age to, like, if he was to flop here, it would be for me one of the most disappointing things in Chelsea's recent history in terms of signings, because I don't understand how a player of that quality coming in with those foundations, especially under a manager like Lampard, who's a midfielder by trade. Do you know what I mean? One of the greatest midfielder in Premier League history, can't train him up. That would be mad disappointing. Werner, on the other hand, we've seen it with Drogba. He had to fight off Anelka, Shevchenko, Torres. Do you know what I mean? That striking position never, ever calms down. So he's really going to have to nail down a position and nail down, some chemistry with the rest of these players to survive in that position long term. But see how it goes for him. Obviously, for me, I give everyone the full season to adapt and acclimatise. This super chat here: do you think Jorginho is a deep lying playmaker while allowing Kante to play box to box ball? Give us more creativity. Nah, bro. I'm done. Lewis, go for it.
No, I was going to say I like Jorginho as well, but I've had to put that prop in the little back burner for like the last month or two because he's, even if I try to call him a good passer, I've said since I saw the Liverpool game, what's his name? Billy Gilmour makes Jorginho look completely obsolete, and it's literally just happened again. I think Billy Gilmour's injury has been what's kept Jorginho's Chelsea career intact for the most part. But as of right now, we got a 60 million player on the bench that we only really bring on to kill games off. He ain't worth that. We got to sell him.
Completely agree.
Well, sure, you agree, Craig? It's as simple as that.
You completely agree. I like him, and you can see why he's worth money. But is he worth that money to us right now? No, not at all. But, is it worth having a 60? As Lewis said, we had this conversation before, Lewis, on one of our channels. Is it worth keeping a £60 million player to just pass the ball around left, right, and centre? No. It's not. To kill off the game, you might as well get someone who's 74 stone and just get him to fucking hide the ball under his belly. That's how you want to kill off a game, then kill it off that way. But you're not paying 60 million quid for that. Do you know what I mean? There is a fine line with Jorginho about being a really good player and being a player that's a little bit below par, and he has to be on it week in, week out to be worth the 60 million quid. And if he's not, it's the other side of it. And it's not his fault. He's a good player. He's a good professional. But we could use the money elsewhere.
Yeah, For me, I love Jorginho. Everybody knows that, but I don't feel like he gets the best out of Frank, and I don't feel like Frank gets the best out of him. And I keep going back to this every single time this point's brought up. I feel like he's a valuable asset, but he's a valuable asset under the right man who knows how to use him properly. And if I look at Frank Lampard's playing career, Frank Lampard's an inexperienced manager at the top level. He's an inexperienced manager, period. As an inexperienced manager, you need to lean on your playing career. When the hell did Frank Lampard ever play with a player like Jorginho? He didn't.
Never.
He doesn't know how to. You know what I mean? It's not going to work. He's got to play with what he's used to. He's got to have in his squad what he's used to playing with. He needs to go off the midfield that he grew up, where he played in my opinion, to be able to coach it. So that means your Mikels, your Makaleles, those traditional types of DMs. That's the only way he can really survive in terms of, if we're going to stamp what Frank Lampard wants, he needs to go with Frank Lampard players and what he's accustomed to. So it doesn't make it. I really do think he's trying to mold the team in the image of prime Chelsea, of what he played in. That would make the most sense to me. If you know what I mean, if you're, of course, there's going to be tweaks here and there. You know, you can't get it identical, you can't get it exactly, but especially in the midfield, which is his expertise, he's got to be trying to tailor that to midfielders that he understands and that he knows how to use. So a midfielder like Jorginho, who lacks pace, lacks mobility, you know, needs to play in a compact system, which again needs to be coached and drilled to an absolute T. You need to understand as well, Jorginho played under Sarri. Sarri is an much older man. Do you know what I mean? There's no surprise that as tactically he's probably more advanced than Lampard. Same with Conte, same with Jose Mourinho. These heavily, you know, tactical managers that we've come from. It's not a disgrace to Lampard that he's not on their tactical level. He's like half their age. You know what I mean? It's just natural. But we have to move. We've moved away from that. So for me, it doesn't make any sense to give Lampard players that he doesn't know how to utilize. That's just setting him up to fail. So he's here. We've got to give him players that he knows and understands, and that's why he's being linked with the likes of Declan Rice. That's why I'm calling for the likes of Ampadu, who's got a bit more mobility. You know, Billy Gilmore perfectly said, Jorginho, for as much as I love him, his passing range is not on the level of Cesc Fabregas, and that's kind of. I've always said this as well. If you're going to have a strength, it's got to be absolutely unbelievable. That's got to be clear as day. You've got to be clear in that field, and too many times. The thing that frustrates me about Jorginho is not really everything what people crucify him for defensively, you know, not being able to get to runners and whatnot. I know the player. I know that he's not going to be he's not going to be able to get tight to people in transition if you're trying to get into a relay race with him. I'm not expecting that. But the passing when it's you know, perfectly weighted passing over the top, and you know, the ball's just a little bit over hit, or he's not seeing the pass for, you know, Hudson-Odoi in the Champions League, and he's not putting it in behind. Those are the moments that piss me off, because that's where you've got to be Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? That's where you've got to make that pass. And you know, he gets treated harshly by the Chelsea fan base, just to a large extent. That's why I defend him so heavily, because you know, this brother has been so professional, vice captain. You know, he's managed to come really from the ground up after getting abused at Stamford Bridge and whatnot. But for me, it's coming to a nice amicable end for him in terms of his time here. In terms of, you know, you can see that under Frank Lampard and under most managers, he's a very system tailored player. Do you know what I mean? He's a very specific system player. It's not going to work. This super chat here, Kai and Timo cost too much money to drop. Frank can't drop them. He'd look like a fool if they were academy players. They would have been dropped by now. Merit has nothing to do with this. Well, for me, regardless of price, you need to be fair. Do you know what I mean? You need to be fair. And like I said, I brought up Hudson-Odoi. If Hudson-Odoi was playing how Timo Werner was playing out wide for the last 3 or 4 games, there'd be absolute anarchy. If Abraham was playing how Timo Werner was playing, there'd be absolute anarchy. If Mason Mount was playing how Kai Havertz was playing, there'd be absolute anarchy. You got to hold the energy, regardless of how much they cost. Now, if they're not playing well, if they've cost a lot of money, it's not a problem. They're long-term signings. You know what I mean? They're here for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Dropping them for 2-3 games, nobody's dying, as far as I'm concerned. What do you guys think?
Yeah, completely agree with that. Completely agree.
Yeah, I think it's.
Go on, sorry.
You got it.
I think the main thing, you know, after a while, you've got to buy these players, and of course, the fee comes with it, of course. But Pogba at Man United, 89 million quid. Is he worth it? I mean, probably a lot of people would say no. I would say, yeah, he is, because every single year he sells shirts, he's made that money back and whatever. It gives Man United that attractive look. Fine. Just focus on the team contribution. Forget about the wages, forget about what people are on and whatever. It's the simple fact of the fact, are they contributing towards the team? Are they having a positive contribution to the team? Yes or no? You know, same thing as the academy players. Everyone knows I'm a massive fan of Mason Mount. I think he's going to be the absolute dogs for Chelsea. I think he's going to be unreal. I think he's captain material in the future. But yesterday, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. And I can say that if he does that against West Ham and then Arsenal the next game and whoever after, if he does that 3 times in 4 games, then the argument is, well, okay, actually, maybe you should drop him out. You should drop him out. And that's how it should be. It's just, are you having a contribution towards the team? Yes or no? And I think that's a big thing. Forget about how much we paid for Kai Havertz. You know, we can get that money back for him. It's not as if we're not going to go and get it. Timo Werner, he's now involved. Morata, we paid 50-odd million quid for as well. He was an absolute flop. These things kind of happen. Just disregard the transfer fee for now. And just focus on if they're a good player for the team. And that's how it should be.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say as well. Just based on merit, these guys haven't been up to standard. Kai Havertz has produced probably the worst 2 performances he's had in the Chelsea shirt. I could say the same thing for Timo Werner. And we got 2 massive London derbies coming up. So, yeah, especially with the second one coming up, I'd be all for resting Werner and Havertz against West Ham if there's the options for it. Because, let's be real, these 2 dropped 4 or 3 out of 10s against West Ham and Arsenal. We are not hearing the end of it. And it's also just going to do even more damage to both of their confidence. So, yeah, if we can rest Kai Havertz, I'd bench him for the next match. If we can bench Timo Werner for the next match, I'd bench him as well. Because if it gets to their heads and they now have something to prove and they ball out in the next match, then it's a stroke of genius and it's also good man management. But we can't keep rewarding poor performances. Lampard says players start on merit. I think with some players, we need to start seeing that. Do they deserve to start? I don't think so.
Facts.
I'll just add that very, very quickly. The 2 results we got against Man United and Sevilla, both 0-0 draws, everyone turned around and said, what was the point of that? We then didn't go and concede a goal for the next 3, 4, 5 games, whatever it was. And we won a hell of a lot of games. We went on this really nice unbeaten run. For these 2 game sacrifice, or in this particular case, 1 game sacrifice against West Ham, if you drop them, but then and then afterwards they absolutely ball out, well, it was well worth dropping them. It was well worth dropping them. Don't look so small picture. We have to look long term. Is it something that's going to be able to benefit us, yes or no? Then drop him.
100%. And I think people, some people think sometimes playing a player over and over again is best for them. Sometimes it's good to take them out, make them sit on the bench and see what they need to improve on. Let them really think. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes going 100 miles per hour. Again, we've spoken about it. People are saying Kai is coming back from, the disease. I can't say the buzzword YouTube out here moving mad. Do you know what I mean? Okay, cool. Well, then let him sit out then. Do you know, Timo Werner, is he, for me, it's a little bit of a 50-50. Is he playing in his best position? Absolutely not. But could he be better? Absolutely he can. So it's a 50-50. Frank needs to improve and utilize him better. He needs to improve on the fundamentals of his game. Sit him out if you can. Sit him out. Sit one of them out at minimum. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they deserve. They don't deserve to be starting. It's all about, merit. We can't be out here telling Hudson-Odoi and other players, you played really well, but, you can't play next game because, these guys have got to start. We spent a lot of money. That's not how it works, bro. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You have to earn your right to play football here. Because we have to be consistent as a fan base, bare minimum. You can't be out here slagging Mason Mount, slagging Tammy, slagging Hudson-Odoi, the brothers that didn't cost no money, but then, and again, you take money out of it. Until you guys think that these guys are 100% flopped, money's not an issue right now. The real issue is just player development. Develop them into the players that we want them to be, top players. That's what we expect them to be. Do you know what I mean? Right now, you don't need to worry about price because we paid the money. We know what we invested in. If you believe in them, don't worry about what rival fans are saying. Just focus on what we got to do. Focus on the talent that we've invested in. But we can't be out here slagging the Cobham boys who got us top 4 last season, saying, "Oh, listen, right, we're going to shove you guys out of the team now. We got our superstars in, and then the superstars aren't delivering, and they can't get a look in because what? Because you guys want to run them into the ground until they. It's like I'm trying to think of a metaphor here, but it's like beating a dead horse. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. If they're not playing well, try something. Try something to light a firecracker up their ass. If they've got to sit on the bench for a game, see if that works. So I think we need to be a little bit more less fantasizing about, right, let's try and fit in all of our summer sign superstars into one lineup and actually just go and try and collect some points, because that's what we need right now. It's not about, you know, getting the names on the back of the shirts in the team right now. It's actually about getting some points and really by any means necessary. I want to move on to the defense because obviously we spent a lot of time on the attack, and that is really the main issue. But people have been mentioning it, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Mendy, you know, there's been a little drop off. The defense as a whole, little drop off. 2 goals conceded in this game. Mendy, I want to start on really specifically. He had, you know, back-to-back really mistakes in the Premier League in terms of coming out from out of his own penalty area, you know, trying to command the area. For me, due to confidence, the fact that he was in such great form, very, very much like how Manuel Neuer, you know, when they get in such confidence and they get such form, these goalkeepers, they want to take over the world and start trying to dictate everything. And maybe, you know, not got too big for his boots. I love to see it, but maybe he just needed to calm down and just settle down a little bit. But what did you make of his performance yesterday, Lewis? Do you think there was something there in terms of a little drop off? Do you think he needs to? Is there a little issue here, or are you calm on this Mendy thing? You think, you know, it's not that deep?
I'll be real, very calm with this Mendy thing. The only thing I'll give you with Mendy, he could have reached that first goal. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I say with half of Kepa's goals, Mendy would have saved that. He could have reached further to it, but he's tiny. So I will drop the same energy for Mendy. He could have reached that first goal. It is what it is. Other than that, I'm not really complaining too much. Are we really going to start moaning after some of the goalkeeping that we've seen over the last 18 months? I am not going to be the first one to start moaning. I think even the Everton game, right? I don't even put too much blame onto him. What? He conceded the penalty. We know what type of goalkeeper he is. That's the type of goalkeeper we sign. We sign someone that is going to be fearless, who's going to jump headfirst into crosses, into corners, into any sort of loose balls. The consequence of that is that you're going to have one of these situations that happen very rarely, where he's going to jump too early or too late and he's going to concede the penalty. You got to shrug your shoulders and just say it is what it is. You got players like Ederson and Alisson, for example, who are great with the ball at their feet, but they're also going to do some stupidness with their feet once or twice because that's what's going to happen in the game. There's going to be mistakes. I just think that's the exact same thing with Edouard Mendy. I think if anyone's giving him stick right now, I don't even know what they're doing. I ain't got words to describe it. But Edouard Mendy, like, he's been brilliant since he's joined us. Yes, he's needed to be tested a little bit more, and he is now being tested a little bit more. But that still doesn't mean he's a flop. That still doesn't mean we need to worry too much. I don't think that's what anybody's saying either. But, all right, the last 2 games, just let's be calm about it, because the issue definitely has not been the goalkeeper.
Craig, what do you think?
I'm absolutely fine with him. I haven't got a problem with him at all. I think the first one got a little deflection off Reece James. It doesn't help matter. You know, maybe he could have, you know, reached it or whatever. But the deflection doesn't help.
Yes.
The deflection doesn't help. Then the second goal, good strike. You know, fair play. It's an annoying one. We obviously don't like it. But the penalty, you know, the main thing for me, that penalty there, obviously he conceded it, whatever. He knew he did wrong and got on with it. He knew he did wrong and he got on with it. And it didn't happen again, and it hasn't happened again. And touch wood, it doesn't happen again for quite a while. But again, if you learn from that particular incident and you don't do it again, then it's worth it happening. You know, it's the way that you have to look at these things. If it goes in your favour, great, let's do it all the time. If it goes against you, make sure you learn from it. And that's what I think he's the kind of guy that really is very level-headed, very calm. And I like what you were saying about commanding and whatever. I think at certain times that's going to happen to him as well. He's going to try and command the wrong person or do something wrong. And in that case, it might come and bite us on the arse. Again, if you learn from it, I'm fine. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. And again, now I will say about money and the fee that he has paid and whatever. You know, I honestly don't know, 18 million quid, something like that, wasn't it for him? A little bit more. Yeah. Steal. Absolute steal. And I'll stand by it. He's a good keeper.
100%. And I think one thing that's in common with Mendy, Havertz, Werner, these guys got top mentalities. You know, Frank Lampard's not bringing in no Mickey Mouse wimps where they can't handle a little bit of criticism. They can't handle being dropped. I think you guys are forgetting. This is Frank Lampard. Do you know what I mean? If he's got something, he's got standards. Do you know what I mean? He's got standards and he's got that in abundance when it comes to Chelsea Football Club. All of the players coming in that he's brought in, I have no doubts in my mind that mentality-wise, that's one thing they did. They got sorted. Do you know what I mean? He's coming from an era of Frank Lampard, you know, his whole Chelsea career. He had to fight. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't just giving it on a plate. You know, he comes in, Roman starts buying up midfielders. He's had to go through Essien, Ballack, you know, Makelele, Mikel, Deco. You can keep going over and over. You can keep going. You know, he's gone from 4-3-3 to diamond. He's gone from, you know, playing in the double pivot with Hazard, Oscar, and Mata ahead of him. He's done it all, and he's always had competition. We have this squad. I think people in the moment now are starting to forget just what we're actually trying to build. And it may not be perfect right now, but just remember, the Cobham boys coming through, elite mentalities. They're coming through the most, you know, the most talented youth squad on the planet. Yeah, in terms of churning out over and over again. You see Lamptey, you see, you know, Ola Aina even, you know, fullbacks. You see Livamento having a masterclass there for the under-23s. We're chucking out more right-backs than most clubs have done in their last decade. Do you know what I mean? This youth team, these players that are coming through the youth and these players that Frank Lampard has signed, top mentalities. Havertz, main man at Leverkusen. Werner, played for the most hated team in Germany at Leipzig. He knows criticism. This ain't his first rodeo. You know, me saying that Werner can sit out for a game, he ain't going to cry about it. Trust, believe me. Do you know what I mean? You look at Ziyech, most influential player for Ajax, player of the year back to back to back. He understands responsibility. These youngsters understand responsibility. They know what club they're at. They've been there since 8 years old. Do you know what I mean? They've seen us winning trophies. They've seen competitive teams. They understand competition. They're not confused. Tammy Abraham, Solanke had him out right wing during the youth days, if you didn't know. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They understand what it is. So again, when you guys are, you know, sometimes we get caught up in rival fans and the banter and whatnot, and we start to lose track of actually what the hell's going on. We need to understand this is a blip, 100%. But one thing you don't need to question is the mentalities. And when you've got top mentalities and you've got talent to go with it, people like Mendy, people like Havertz, people like Timo Werner, long term, cool, they're bouncing back. Got no doubts about it because they've got the mentality to do it. We've spoken about players that have failed here in the past. You know, maybe you know, Maratas, you know, you get your Keppers in the past. You know what I mean? We can go through the list. Mentality though, was it really there? Was it really a strong mentality? Do you know what I mean? Or did they really need to go back home and, you know, did they really feel familiar surroundings? Again, these are things that people mock. You know, when you're looking at transfer target, you say, you know, do they have good cohesion with the squad? Have they already got mates here? Do they feel at home? I always say, relate that shit back to what you do in the real world at work. If you've got a new job, do you have friends there already? Do you feel settled in? Are you going to be able to get to work straight away? Are you already in the field, or do you have to start again in the field? Are you already in the league? Do you know what I mean? Chilwell, again, a player that for me, you know, the last couple of performances dipped a little bit, but again, I've seen, for someone that didn't really want Chilwell, I've seen the value in the fact that he's already been in this league. He has managed to, you know, really get cracking straight away. There's not really been an adaptation period for him. That's a brother that's really, he started work, he's got his CV, and he's already qualified in the field that we put him in. It's not a new job for him. Do you know what I mean? That you need to, sometimes you've got to just take this stuff and put it back in the real world and think to yourself, what Lampard's trying to achieve here, for these little traits that we take the piss out of, if they were applied to the real world, would it be valuable? Of course it would be. And I'm not expecting Lampard to sign a lazy player in Havertz. That's not happening. There's no way with the intensity and the running and the graph that Lampard wants in his team and the intensity he wants to play at. He's not signing Havertz if he's lazy. He's not doing that. He's not signing Werner if he can't hack it. So I'm not worried long term. I just think, like I said, I want Lampard to be consistent now with his rotation of the squad. If he's going to be dropping people out the squad after decent performances, you know, we ain't seen Tomori in a hot minute. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot. Do you know what I mean? Tomori got taken out last season. I want him to be consistent, and everybody needs to get treated the same. So with these big signings, yes, they're flashy, but they're not playing well right now. So I think anybody can get dropped, and that's the main thing to really put out there. It doesn't matter what your name is at the back of the shirt. If you're not playing well, you can get dropped. I've seen it happen with way bigger stars at this football club than Havertz and Werner. We've had bigger names. We've had legends. VS-Boas dashing out all legends on the whole. Do you remember that time, guys? No, VS-Boas came into this club and he dropped every brother.
That knob.
VS-Boas was like madness that whole season. I don't know how he lasted that long.
Brother, VS-Boas came into this team, and this is a bit of a tangent, but let's try and cheer ourselves up a bit. VS-Boas came because that was the year we won the Champions League. So let's enjoy it. Let's sip to it. This brother came in, dropped Lampard, Terry, Drogba, and said, "You're done out here. We're moving on." Like, I've never seen anything like it.
It's madness. It's absolute madness.
Talk about a 5-year plan in like 5 months, bro. I'm pressed fast forward and everything.
You know, you're meant to do that. You're meant to do that shit gently. You come into the new world of work and you're saying, right, I'm going to drop a couple of brothers, but I'm going to do it slowly. This guy just came in and just was like, "You're done. Out. And obviously it didn't work out for him, but you know what I mean? I just thought it was hilarious, the arrogance that he had from him. So fair play to him.
Do you remember that Napoli game? The first leg? I think Terry got dropped, Cole got dropped, Torres, Lampard, they're all benched.
All of them.
Everyone was benched for that match, and we lost 3-1. He got sacked like a week later.
What's so mad is that he dropped all of them, and he was a scout here under Mourinho. So he knows everybody already. Like, this is... People forget this. When Villas-Boas came in, he wasn't a new brother on the block. He's been here already. He was a scout from Mourinho. I've seen it because I was on Football Manager them time. he came in here.
By the first team, that's why. He's been holding an agenda against them for years. JT and Lampard whipping him with something. I don't know. They've been bullying for time.
He came in and just started tearing shit up like as if he didn't know nobody. I was like, bro, you know these guys. You can't get away with this. It's not going to work. They're all in the prime of their career. It was like, when you think about it.
Didn't Di Matteo say anything? Because he was his assistant manager at the time. Little tap on the shoulder like, yo, bro, what are you doing, man?
Do you know what's mad? I just look back on it. Look how long their careers lasted after that.
At least he got 2 medals out of it. But Villas-Boas, his whole managerial career was mudded after. After the Spurs one, I'll say that.
Yeah,
Spurs where it really went to shit.
The audacity, man. The audacity. So I want to obviously let's get back onto it. West Ham coming up on Monday, is it? So I want to get your starting lineups for both of you. Who would you? A little bit of build up there for the West Ham game, even though it's a mile away. I'm not even gonna lie. I needed a little bit of break for football a couple of days after that. What lineup would you go with, Lewis? For starting with you in terms of West Ham, what would be your starting team?
Right, just to confirm, Hudson-Odoi and Ziyech aren't going to be.
We'll take them out of the equation because I really just don't think they'll be rushed back at all to start a game after all their injury issues at all. That would be kind of mad from Frank if he did.
All right. Well, back 5 stays the same. I think we'll all agree on that. In midfield, Havertz.
Change of shape.
What?
Change of shape or same formation, or what are you doing? It's a tough one.
You know what? I'm gonna go different. We'll go 4-4-2 diamond. I want to go for the narrow diamond so we can have the 3 centre mids. We'll have Kante at the base, Mason Mount and Mateo Kovacic as the 2 box-to-box. We'll try Kai Havertz in behind the 2 strikers because that is where he plays at his best. When he's around the attacking third, that's usually where he's at his most confident.
Yeah.
Up front, I'd probably push more for Giroud and Timo Werner because I still think there's a great partnership between the pair of them. Granted, Timo and Tammy have been the better partnership together out of the 3. I still take that into account. But I think there's a massive golfing class between Olivier Giroud and between Tammy Abraham right now. And that still has to be addressed. So do I keep... If it's that formation, I won't bench Timo Werner or Kai Havertz. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I do think the formation probably doesn't play to both of their complete strengths. But it is also a case of last chance to lose. We are not losing 3 games in a row to West Ham. I'm not allowing it. I've said it so many times. These men will make DVDs, they will make shirts, they will make videos, they will make everything if they go 3 games in a row with 3 W's against us. We cannot allow it to happen. So yeah, change the formation. We'll keep Werner and Havertz, but we're keeping an eye out on them in this match as well. They cannot drop another L in this game.
Craig, mad.
I mean, the back 4 and the goalkeeper stays the same. It has to. I play a 4-3-3 again, and I play probably a Kovacic, Kante, and Mount trio in midfield. Depending on how the game's going, you could make it into a double pivot and move Mount into a number 10 role. And if that's not working, then you can potentially bring in Kai Havertz off the bench. I will again play, unfortunately, Timo Werner out the left-hand side. I will play Olivier Giroud up top. I think Tammy could get found out, and then I'll play Perisic on the right-hand side. So quite similar, but I play Kovacic rather than Kai Havertz.
Wow, that's a big one. Who said Kepa starts?
Sorry, I'm looking at the comments.
Do you know what?
You can't just be trolling.
Let me not get involved. You're going to trigger a man. Listen, I'm on no sleep, and I'm tired, and I'm sad. Sad hours. Do you know what I mean? Don't start triggering me in the comments with them dumb suggestions.
I don't know. If you're tired, Arteta ball's on in 15 minutes.
Yeah, you know what? Zisty Ziyech has been trolling in this chat for quite some time, young man. Do you know what I'm saying? I've seen you. Zisty Ziyech, yeah. I've seen you, brother. You put in
He's one of the good regulars, though.
Yeah, I know. I love him, but he's put in some mad information. I think he put in a super chat, and this is the first time ever I didn't read out the super chat. I saw it, much appreciated, much love for that. But this brother put in a super chat saying that Reece James got robbed or his car got stolen.
Oh
or
no,
something.
I saw that he didn't get
real.
robbed. It was real. It wasn't a robbery, but
because I didn't want to put it out there because I don't know in it. So
he was doing donations and everything, and he was off doing one. He went back to his car, and his car got broken in, and someone took the rest of the donations that he was meant to be giving away. He just put that on Instagram like 30 minutes ago.
Okay, see, is this DZX good information coming through? I didn't know if it was true or not, so I didn't want to scare everybody and like go with that because I didn't source check it. But that's mad. That is mad.
Why would you try and take on Reece James? Like,
do you know what? Yeah,
why?
All the brothers. Why? Do you know what? Let's get into that. Because you donated. Let's get into that topic. Who the hell tries to rob Reece James for real before you give your team credit? That's nuts. That's wild. Wow, man. This is a brother that body Hulk at 18 at Wigan. Are you nuts? You're asking for your life to be taken away from you.
Of all the people in this team, Reece James is the one you don't take on.
That's mad.
I take on Zuma and Thiago Silva together before I take on Reece James.
Yeah. That's nuts, honestly. You're taking the piss. I'm missing man.
2 hours in a row. It's hard.
Do you know what it is? Yeah. Do you know what it is? I'm cheeky, but I know when to shut up, innit? This is not my time to talk, innit? I need my team to step up. I'll start talking in a minute, but right now my team's moving mad. So let me just calm it down, and I'll be back. I've got a lot of streams that I've taken part in now, week to week, like rants and Turkish and whatnot. So I got to face my thunder. So I won't do it on my channel. I'll face the music later on. Honest to God. My team, wow, man. Do you know what? Yeah, heck, I'm going with a diamond. I wanted it again. I wanted it for the last game. I said it in my preview. Mandem said I was smoking the most trees. I was doing the most. But hey, we got 6 days to work on it now. I want to see something different. And by the way, the reason why I go with the diamond and not 3 at the back, this allows us, if shit hits the fan and you're getting scared and things aren't going well, cool. You can go back to normal. By the click of a button, you don't even have to make a substitution. If you go over front 3 of Havertz, Werner, Tammy, which is what I probably... Thing is, I would actually pick them both out of the team. But if I'm going with this formation, it is for them partly as well. So I'd play them for that formation. But if you're going with Tammy, Werner, Havertz as your front 3 with Havertz at the top of the diamond, if it's not going well, that can change to a front 3 with Werner left, Havertz right, and Tammy up front very quickly. So not that I think that would work, but it's just an option. I'd go with the diamond, yeah. I'd go same team as Lewis, really. Apart from Giroud, I'll probably put Tammy in for Giroud. I think, sorry, not Tammy for Giroud. I'll probably put Werner in for Giroud just for the mobility. I think if we're going to play 2 up front in a narrow formation, I'd need a bit of pace out wide just to cover the wide spaces and, keep them pressing in those areas and obviously those fullbacks bombing forward and whatnot. But ideally, it's a tough one because I don't really want to start Havertz and Werner, as I said earlier. I kind of want them benched, but we actually don't have anyone to put in their place. I think only Werner's got legitimate players that can come in for him because he's technically a striker. Havertz, Havertz is this other way around. Havertz has got players that can come in for him. You've mentioned it, Craig. You've got Kobe. You've got Billy. You've got other. Werner, there's not really anybody in because we ain't got no wingers. So as much as I would like him to be benched, maybe, hopefully, 6 days rest and not 6 days rest, but 6 days training. Hopefully that does the job for these guys. I don't know. We need something though. We need a spark. Let me go through some of the comments because I've been missing some of you guys here. We are limited with Giroud. Teams are figuring us out, coming down the sides and want to cross. Yeah, true. But that's not Giroud's fault, Giroud can take the ball into feet. So these brothers need to start playing it into him as well. Do you know what I mean? The 8s, they can play it into feet. They can knock it about. Giroud's not just like Sam Allardyce football. We ain't playing Kevin Davis up front, so... It's not one of those situations.
Speaking of that, he's been announced as West Brom manager.
Who?
Sam Allardyce.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, that's the stream as
We're
well.
doing that again as well. I thought the Premier League involved. I thought we'd moved on.
Now, him, Mark Hughes, Alan Pardew, they're all going to reek their heads around sooner or later.
Yeah.
Revolving door, one of the relegation sides is going to sack another manager, and one of them will come in.
Oh, I miss Pulis. Where's he gone now? Where's Tony Pulis gone?
He's at Arsenal,
You're taking the piss.
He ain't gone anywhere.
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm not trolling Arsenal because we could piss up against them, and that's a different level of mockery right there.
I don't want to speak into existence. I honestly don't, because you won't see me on anything till 2021. I'll ignore the Villa game and everything. I won't drop a review.
People think it's a joke. When we lost yesterday, I uploaded last. Out of all the Chelsea YouTubers, I was last, because that's how long it took me to come to terms with what happened.
I was the reverse. I did everything and I put it out of my head and I left, because I was like, you know what, fuck this game. Like, everything.
I think even
as well can get in the bin too.
I think even my subscribers noticed. They was like, "Yo, where's Matiz's upload?" I said, "Brother, I'm drinking. You better wait. I've got a drink to have, bro. Like, I
respect that. The game gets like that sometimes. I really feel that way.
Just know, because usually I'm quite early. Just know, people, if we lose, you can expect a delayed time. Do you know what I mean? Your flight has been delayed, sir. Go to bed if you wish. Wake up in the morning and you might see me upload then, because it could get real sticky. I want to play a quick game before we finish. We've got maybe 10 minutes left. I know Craig's got to go as well. Let me just check the time real quick. All right, cool. We got 10 minutes, but we're gonna give it 8. So Craig's really got some time. 7 minutes. Let's play a little game. Cobham. I like it. I like to call it. I change the name every time I do it. Keeping up with the Cobhams. I'm gonna call it today. I keep the guys that are watching live chat. They're like, brother, you can't just stick with a name. What the hell's wrong with you, brother? I'm hangover. I'm tired. I don't even remember what I just had from. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast today. Just leave it out. Don't cuss me in the comments. It's basically a game where I pick 3 Cobham youngsters, or three young players, not always Cobham, because we ain't really got enough of them in the first team for this game, but 3 youngsters, and I pick, and you guys have got to pick out of the 3, who would you bank on staying for the next decade? So obviously it comes down to ability, but also, are they injury prone? Do you know what I mean? Are they going to last the test of time, competition, position? We've seen Tariq Lamptey, for all his talent, he didn't stick around because Reece James. So there's a lot here to chew on. I want to start with these 3 names. Obviously, we go Lewis to Craig and give me your thoughts. Give me a name of who you think's gonna be here for the next decade at this football club. That's a long damn time. That's probably going to be a managerial change. Let's not get it twisted during that time. There's a lot that can happen. I'm going to go, Liv and Mentor, I'm going to go with as the first name. He just had an absolute masterclass with under 23s. Everyone's loving him. Tino Andrin, we all know him very well. Gallagher. Let's go Gallagher, because he's doing well at West Brom. Lewis, pick a name, brother.
I won't say Livramento, because I'm just going to hold my hands up and be real. I don't know enough to speak about him, so I'm not going to sit here and talk absolute was for about 3 minutes. Andrin or Gallagher? Here's the thing. Our midfield is stacked, and I do think that Conor Gallagher would still get the opportunity to show himself. I don't know. It's a long-term game, though. I think Tino Andrin might have the best opportunity, in my opinion, out of the pair. It's not to say that Conor Gallagher wouldn't just come in and instantly get sold. But I think there's just more opportunities. There's less places in the wing positions compared to in midfield. And also, you could say it to an extent, but less quality in those positions as well. I think midfield is our strongest area of the pitch by an absolute mile. So out of those 3, if you're going to give me one for longevity, I will lean a bit more towards Tino Andrin. I know we still need to see a bit more of him in terms of regular game time in the first team. But right now, I think it's an easier pathway for him, in my opinion. I think Conor Gallagher, he's got like 7 players right now, just off the top of my head, that he has to compete against. And that will be a bit too much for him, in my opinion.
What about you, Craig? Just a sticky one, I ain't going to lie.
I'll go for Gallagher. I think he's a really nice, tidy player. I think he's definitely going to show his ability out on loan at West Brom. I don't know if he's going to be in the next couple of years, but if we're talking long term, I can see him definitely having a career at Chelsea. I think he's going to be very similar to a Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think maybe he kind of comes in, goes out, and comes in and goes out. I'm not necessarily he's going to be absolute world beater. But I think he's, talking almost about versatility and saying that he's got a few people ahead of him in midfield. He can also play up front. He can also play as a number 9. And I think given a right opportunity, depending on who he goes out to on loan in the next 2 years or so, I think he's going to be the one that's going to find a little bit of luck and find that little bit of a presence. But I don't look at him and think you're instantly going to get sold. I don't look at him and think that this, a West Brom is going to come in and pay what we would probably say is 25 million quid or something like that. I can't see West Brom doing that. I think he's kind of at that caliber. Where I think maybe with an Andrew in, he could potentially, he goes out on loan for a year or 2 years, whatever it be, and then the club comes in and goes, oh yeah, we really like him. We're going to take him for 25, 30 million quid. I don't see that quite happening with Gallagher. So I'm not going to say that Andrew and Gallagher, one's going to be better than the other. But in terms of purely Chelsea, I think Gallagher's going to be here for a bit more of a longer time. And I don't know if he ever becomes first team starter, like week in, week out. But I think he'll go through spells of coming in, coming out, going in, coming out. And then overall, be just becoming a squad player, but a really quite decent one.
Okay. I kind of agree with that logic, actually, because I think Tino Andrew, for me, has probably got the highest ceiling, but I think also Gallagher suits Lampard very well right now in terms of the graft that he will put in. I think he clocks up the miles right now for the mileage right now for West Brom. Let's go to the defense and then finally end with the front line. I'm going to go Mark Guehi, who's doing really well at Swansea, Tomori, who we know is in the squad now, and Ampadu, because Ampadu's experienced, man. Lewis, what are you feeling? That's hard, yeah.
Who did you say? You said Ampadu, Tomori, or Gay?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Guehi, yeah.
Who's probably going to last the longest? I want to say Tomori, but right now recent history does not really favour that.
He's bottom in my pecking order.
So wait, Tomori,
Mark Guehi and Ampadu.
Gay and Ampadu.
Not Star.
Ampadu. That one I'm feeling a bit more optimistic about. He's versatile as well, which fits the Lampard mold of player. Yeah. Could play at centre-back, could play at DM, and to be honest, we're kind of struggling for someone. I'll say we're struggling. We're still looking for a natural DM, and that would provide a lot of depth in that role as well, which is something that we've been lacking and something that we've been wanting to look for. So I'll probably say Ampadu, really. I think Ampadu's also got Premier League experience now with the time he spent at Sheffield United. He's also got longevity because he's been the longest one in the squad as well. So I think the one to last the longest, I would want to say Tomori. It's like... what's it called? An honourable mention, but I'm gonna go for Ampadu in my opinion.
What? I've actually got Guehi just because I think Ampadu could get phased out by Declan Rice if he comes in. That's a worry for me. They're very similar
with him.
Yeah,
80 million. I think it'd be still massive if we did that. I know Lampard wants him, but
yeah, I think Moreno will just get them. I just see it happening, man. Moreno's going to get the price down. Frank wants him, and we've seen it with Chilwell. It's very similar for me. I think it's going to be the same kind of situation. Whereas Mark Guehi, he is. Do you know what stands out for Mark Guehi right now? I love Ampadu, absolutely love him. I want them both to make it really. Tomori, I think absolutely has no chance at this point. I really have no hope for Tomori right now, which is nuts. But I just think he's falling down the pecking order so big time. And he doesn't have the leadership qualities as well. If I'm looking at what Frank is looking for in terms of leadership qualities, he's the one person I don't see it in right now. Guehi's passing ability is nuts. Craig, what do you think of that? Those three.
I'll go for Guehi as well. A very similar thing with Tomori. I think he's going to be a nice player. I just don't really think he's going to be at Chelsea. He's fast, he's rapid, he's incredibly quick. But it's been a year since kind of Lampard dropped him or whatever happened with it. It's been a while, and the fact that we've had injury concerns and different formations and systems and styles and personnel that we want to play with, he's never really had a look in. So I can't necessarily pick him. Ampadu, I hate to say it, and I don't think it should matter, but I think it will. I think he's too small.
Really?
I think he's too small. And I think Chelsea have this problem with centre halves, of course, because we've had John Terry, the most elite of the elite. You have to be able to kind of you're always underneath that level. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's going to be one of those that very quickly just kind of get phased out. Not necessarily that he should, but it's just one of those things that just happens. I think he's a quality player, but the argument probably at the moment, Sheffield United, he's kind of playing for them, not really playing for them. They're bottom. If he's that good, that don't happen. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's always going to be that question marks around him. He's a great player, and look, he's Wales international. He'll probably go and do it for years and years and years to come. But I could see Chelsea moving him on if the right money came in. And Tomori, the same thing. I think he could be one of those ones that disappears. But Guehi, I think, could actually stay around at the club and really kind of show people, go, look, I can actually do this, give me a chance and I'll prove it.
I don't think Ampadu's really too small, because I think he does win a lot of his aerial duels. He's got a really good leap on him. So I'm not worried in that regard, but I am worried about his challenges in terms of, like I said, Declan Rice and whatnot coming in. So I do have the same fears as you in terms of I'm not sure if he's actually going to make it here as much as I'm desperate for him to do so, but not for the same reasons. Tomori stocks are low. People are saying free Tomori, brother. If you want to start putting chips down on Tomori, go for it, fam, because Tomori stocks are low right now. This brother's falling down the pecking order so much. Don't know why. Do you know what I mean? But I keep saying, for me, Frank Lampard knows him well. You know what I mean? Had him at Derby, Player of the Year, sold David Luiz for him, started him last season. So if there's anyone who knows him, it's Jody, it's Edwards, it's Frank. So I can't even really get to Aggie anymore. I kind of just left it because, do you know what I mean? These guys see him day in, day out. So something must be going on. I'm not going to keep Craig too much longer. And also, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm flawed. Do you know what I mean? You can see it. I'm so sorry to my subscribers, people. You know, my hair's not combed. Do you know what I mean? I got bags under my eyes. It's one of those ones. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to have to accept it. It's one of those ones.
For ages.
It's been a rough ride. Do you know what I mean? Boris just locked it down again. It's a rough one. People, Lewis, Craig, plug your channels. Let them know where to find you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you two on. Links are going to be in the description. You guys probably already know them already, but if you don't, you're sleeping. Lewis, where can they find you?
Yes, thanks for having me on, Matisse. Anyway, I do want to just throw that out. But if you guys want to see more of me, check out CarefreeLewisG on YouTube. Check out Blues Fans TV as well. We all make rare appearances every now and then. So check us out on Blues Fans TV. And yeah, Matisse, thanks for having me on, bro. Massively appreciate it.
Man, absolute pleasure. I've been on your channel and you had to get you on there. Do you know what I mean? I might have to get you on for Arsenal because I know you love to do the trolling and whatnot. So I might have to just...
If you insist... Fine,
a little seasoning along the lines. Craig, my guy, where can they find you, man? It's been a pleasure having you on.
Craig28 football, Craig28 sport, TikTok, Craig28. And I'm also on Twitch now. The Craig28 on Twitch.
Crafty.
Yeah.
Mad. So how come? So how is Twitch? Because I've seen a lot of YouTubers are going to Twitch. I'm starting to look around my shoulders.
I am very new to it.
I just got here.
I am very new. I've got no idea what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out eventually.
100%. People go. Make sure you check out Craig. Yeah, these guys right now are starting to react to Arsenal Fan TV, and they're starting to troll these bastards. Do you know what I mean? If you need
to get a win though, because ever since we've done this, it's been 2 losses. And I know if
maybe you need to actually stop. Maybe
some of us have been doing it for quite a while, Les.
maybe you guys doing this has actually messed up our juju. That might actually be what's going on. My God damn. I mean, you might have actually messed up our juju, guys, because I'm starting to put 2 and 2 together. Ever since you started trolling other clubs, we've started losing games.
Yeah, I can't lie. If Arsenal lose today, I don't know if I'm dropping another reaction vid. That's too shameless for me at this point.
I need the money.
Well,
you know what? Respect. I love you, honestly, man. I drink to that.
Well, people, it's been an absolute mess on my behalf in terms of myself. I hope that my energy levels were high enough for you. I hold myself to the highest of standards, but I have to tell you, when you've had that much alcohol and your team has disgraced you as much as that, things do get a little bit slippy and slidey. We'll be back to normal tomorrow with another video. See you guys soon. Obviously, there's not another game until Monday, so we've got a bit of time in between. So you might even see a little bit of, a few little dibble dabbles, a little bit of creative content, some skits. You never know what's going to come up on this channel. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks for joining us in a bit.